All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the third part of the show, we're going to take a look at the cuts around the league from each team. We'll look at some of the big names that were let go of. Um, I did want to start off with the Chiefs because we're not gonna. I'm not gonna go through every single team, but some notable names that were let go that I wanted to discuss. So the Chiefs did let go of Kadarius Toney, and also Justin Ross as well, another receiver that they had as well. And I don't think there's really any surprise by that. He was brought in. They traded. I think it was a third round pick to get him from the Giants, and it just really never worked out. He would show flashes here and there, like especially in the Super Bowl. Had that punt return, had a touchdown, but the consistency was not there. Last year there was just no. There was consistency, but he was consistently bad. And because I thought when they first acquired him, he wasn't like he showed flashes, had that big performance in the Super Bowl, did have some good games for them during the regular season, but last year was just a mess from that first game on. And I think that's why you saw at certain points Patrick Mahomes was just visibly upset on the sidelines, and that's why part of the reason why he threw that tirade after that game against the Bills, because it's stuff that Kadarius Toney did. First game of the year, crucial drops. One of them led to a pick six by Brian Branch. I brought that up recently. But there was another play last year where, he catches a ball. I think it was, what was it? Was it on third down? It was second or third down. Whatever it was. He catches that ball. They're in field goal range. Harrison Butker kicks a game-winning field goal, and they win that game. Against the Patriots, that was another instance where Mahomes looked visibly upset, and that led to an interception. Toney bobbled the ball, and the Patriots got an interception off that. But the big one, like I mentioned, when Mahomes really flipped out, was against the Bills, when he lined up off sides, and they scored a touchdown, and you thought, wow, they pulled off a miracle against the Bills in the regular season. Because, the Bills, they have their problems with the Chiefs in the postseason, but in the regular season, they beat them. And Toney was lined up off sides, and the play got called back, and that was it. And the Chiefs ended up losing that game. So I'm just not surprised by it. And also just, getting into it with Giant fans on Twitter, it's just not somebody you really want to have on your team. Now, they tried to make it work, but, it's just the play on the field was not there. And who knows if he's going to get another shot. Maybe he does. I thought after that game in Dallas that he had again with the Giants, where he had over 100 yards, and he was electric in that game. And I was like, wow, he looks like he's going to be a good player. But that was like his peak. And maybe, I guess, the Super Bowl performance as well. But that really, he peaked with that game he had in Dallas. He never really lived up to it. And Giant fans really were not in love with that pick either. There were other areas that the Giants needed to address. But Dave Gettleman decided to take Kadarius Toney. And it just didn't pan out. And I don't know where it was. It might have been on Twitter. But there's only, with the Giants, there's only 8 players remaining that were drafted by Dave Gettleman on the current roster. Everybody else is all Dable and Shane. They really flipped this roster over. I mean, Dave Gettleman really left the Giants in a bad spot. So much so that, like I said, there's only 8 players that Dave Gettleman drafted that are on the team still. But, yeah, so Kadarius Toney is gone. I did want to bring up, actually, so A.J. Dillon of the Packers is going to be out for the year. Neck injury. Season-ending IR. And they brought him back. I'll be honest, I really was not too familiar with this. They brought him back on, I think it was like a qualifying offer. Like they have in baseball. I had no idea that was a thing in football. But they brought him back, to be the RB2 to Josh Jacobs. And now he's going to be out for the year. So his Packer career is over. You hope that this neck injury, I don't know the severity of it, so I hope it's not career-threatening. But, when you hear a neck injury, that, it's concerning. I mean, David Wilson of the Giants, remember him? Had him for a few years, and he had a neck injury, and he's been out of football. Ended up retiring. So, I wish him nothing but the best. It's an unfortunate injury, but yeah. So, the Packers did draft a running back, Marshawn Lloyd. They also have Emmanuel Wilson as well. So that's going to be their backfield. Well, besides Josh Jacobs, of course. But A.J. Dillon, they brought him back to be that RB2 to him, and he's gonna, like I said, he's out for the year now. But I did want to bring that up. Also, to go back to the Patriots, so they actually let go of Bailey Zappe, which I can't really, again, another move that I really was not surprised about. They drafted 2 quarterbacks. They took Drake May. They took Joe Milton. They probably, they like what they see out of Milton more so than Zappe. And then, of course, you have Jacoby Brissett, who's now the starter going into the year. So, yeah, they kind of left no room for Zappe. Had his moments. I wanted to get, my friend and I wanted to get the Don't Worry, Be Zappe t-shirts. I did want to get that, but ended up not happening. And like I said, showed flashes, and you thought, oh, maybe, Zappe's the guy instead of Mac Jones. Never ended up happening. So, if a team needs a quarterback, he's someone that could potentially, be someone that fills up a quarterback spot. Trying to see if any. So the Commanders, it was interesting. Well, they cut Sam Hartman, they cut Trace McSorley, a couple quarterbacks there. So the Commanders, they brought in Martavis Bryant, and I have a Martavis Bryant jersey, believe it or not. And you're probably saying, why? Yeah, a lot of the jerseys that I have now, they're all expired, basically. I mean, the ones that I have in my closet, I have, I got guys from the Chiefs, I got 49ers. Now, I say that, I hope nobody goes, oh, you're a bandwagoner. No. I just get the jerseys because I just like to get, some of the players. As do a lot of people. For the Super Bowl, I depending on who's in it. I mean, the Chiefs have been in it every single year, it seems. At least I got a jersey to wear. It's more of just collecting jerseys. But like I said, a lot of the jerseys that I have, they are expired, and a lot of them were bad purchases. Martavis Bryant was one of them. Because Martavis Bryant's window of being a good player was so small. It was shut pretty quickly. Because he was in and out of the league constantly. I mean, I really just go back to that playoff game against the Bengals when he caught the ball and in between his legs and did a somersault. That's really the only thing I could think of as to why I got a Martavis Bryant jersey. But yeah, so the Commanders brought him in, and he's cut. He's done with them. So I don't know if he's gonna. I really don't know if he's gonna get another shot. I really don't. He bounced around the league a little bit after the Steelers. Again, was in and out of the league. Was with the Raiders for a little bit. The Cowboys, they brought him in. So I don't know if he's going to get another shot. But that's another notable name. Maybe if a team's desperate, maybe they could go to him. When it comes to the Giants, and I'm seeing now the Bears did let go of Austin Reed. If you've been following Hard Knocks, he's been kind of a focus. So that's unfortunate there, but kind of makes sense. Tyson Bagent wasn't getting cut, and Brett Rippon hasn't looked bad either. So not really surprised there. But with the Giants, they let go of Isaiah Hodgins, and Isaiah Hodgins, they brought him in 2022, and him and Daniel Jones really built up a nice rapport. And he had a touchdown in the playoff game against the Vikings. He played well for them. But last year, wasn't as good. I mean, the other thing too is the quarterback position for the Giants was just a mess. So I'm not really, surprised that he was let go, because the Giants got Jalen Hyatt, they drafted Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson, like those are your top three. And then you got Darius Slayton. I'm trying to think of who else they have. A couple other guys that they got that it got a little, the wide receiver room got a little crowded for the Giants, and Hodgins just was not going to make the team. But I just want to look up. Well, Gunnar Olszewski they got to return kicks. But yeah, it was not going to happen for Hodgins. We'll see if a team maybe picks him up. But yeah, that's pretty much some of the notable cuts. Again, I wasn't going to go through every team. I mean, some guys I spent more time talking about than others, but ESPN has like the full list of all the guys that were cut. So, if you want to take a look at that, I mean, you could basically look it up wherever. Just look up, what your team ended up doing, what other teams ended up doing. But yeah, so I know also Frank Gore Jr., he was cut by the Bills, but I think he got signed to the practice squad. I know that was a surprise. Most people were surprised by that because he performed well in the final preseason game. So, yeah, but I think he did get signed by the practice squad of the Bills, or to the Bills practice squad. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think, though, about some of the cuts that we went over. What was one that surprised you? So we're going to take our next break. When we come back, we'll talk about Hassan Reddick, talk about some things that Robert Saleh said recently, get into more of that discussion when we come back from our next break. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.